Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, Verse 25. Harer muhustat karnapura gunabhidhanena vijrumbhamanaya bhaktya hyasanga sadasatyanatmani nirgune brahmani chanjasaratihi. The devotee should gradually increase the culture of devotional service by constant hearing of the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These pastimes are like ornamental decorations on the ears of the devotees. By rendering devotional service and transcending the material qualities, one can easily be fixed in transcendence in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this is again, these two verses discussing the path for making progress. So, first is non-violent, follow in the footsteps of great acharyas. Always remember the nectar of pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Follow the regulative principles without material desire. Don't blaspheme others. Lead a simple life. Don't be disturbed by duality of opposing elements. And learn to tolerate. So this is all more or less coming to Brahma Bhuta platform. Now after that, going further, should gradually increase the culture of devotional service. How? By constant hearing. By not here, Shukadeva Swami is not saying that Sanat Kumara is not saying that one should engage in something, anything else. So many angas of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Why? Because these pastimes are like ornamental decorations on the ears of devotees. By rendering devotional service and transcending the material qualities. So by constant hearing, hearing means gnana vignana. So we hear and we do kirtana and we apply them in our life. We transcend material qualities. Then one can be easily fixed. Nishta, rati, attraction. The verse is especially mentioned to substantiate the devotional process of hearing the subject matter. A devotee does not like to hear anything other than subjects dealing with the spiritual activities or the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Again, whenever Prabhupada says does not, we should read it as should not. Because he's giving the general characteristic of a devotee. But since we are trying to become devotees, for us it's an instruction. A devotee should not like to hear anything other than subjects dealing with spiritual activities or pastimes of the Lord. Should not like to hear. Meaning other things that we hear is just as a matter of normal like duty, etc. Like suppose somebody is working, okay, he has to hear something from somebody. Okay, it's all just not with an intention to actually absorb that matter or no, it's just as a matter of fact, okay, part of my work or whatever, okay, I'm hearing. But really, we should not like to hear anything other than spiritual activities, spiritual topics, pastimes to the Lord. We can increase our propensity for devotional service Many devotees ask, how do I increase my devotional service? Answer is here. By hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from realized souls. Again, I'm repeating this. We have to read Srila Prabhupada's books because he is the, our Shiksha Guru. He's a realized soul, and purports are his realizations. The more we hear from realized souls, the more we make advancement in our devotional life. And it's also important that this hearing be systematic. This is another thing that I'm been continuously repeating. Systematic means that we have to hear one by one, we have to read verses, we have to understand what Prabhupada is saying in the purports. Many devotees, they don't have interest to read Prabhupada's books, but they hear from realized souls. Of course, they hear from realized souls. They hear their realizations. We can make little advancement by that, but we need more systematic approach. For example, sometimes we are hearing classes which are way above our realization or our standard or our level of devotional service, and we are stuck in some issues, some practical problems. How do we know how to get over those problems? Maybe the speakers from whom we are hearing are not addressing those problems, but Prabhupada addresses them. So we have to systematically read Prabhupada's books. This is the first important service. Then we can hear from other realized souls. The more we advance in devotional life, the more we become detached from the material world. So this is the sign. If we have to just gauge how much advancement I've made in devotional life, simple, how much have I become detached from the material world? That is the gauge. That is the measurement. The more we become detached from the material world, as advised by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the more we increase in attachment for the Supreme Lord. So very nice. See, the advance in devotional life, more we engage in Shravanam, Kirtanam, the more we become detached. The more we become detached, the more we become, or even it can be the other way around. The more we become attached to Krishna, the more we become detached from the material world. Therefore, a devotee who actually wants to make progress in devotional service and go back to Godhead must lose interest in sense enjoyment. Must lose interest. Hmm. He must lose interest in sense enjoyment and associating with persons who are after money and sense gratification. This is the advice of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Niskinchanasya bhagavat bhajanon mukhasya param param jigamishor bhavasagarasya sandarshanam vishayinam athayoshitam cha ha hanta hanta vishabhakshanan bhakshanato pi asadhu. The word Brahmani used in this verse is commented upon by the impersonalists or professional reciters of Bhagavatam, who are mainly advocates of the caste system by demoniac birthright. They say that Brahmani means impersonal Brahman. But they cannot conclude this with reference to the context of the words Bhaktya and Gunabhidanena. According to the impersonalists, there are no transcendental qualities in the impersonal Brahman. Therefore, we should understand that Brahmani means in the Supreme Person of Godhead. So this is all word jugglery. Brahman means impersonal Brahman. But Prabhupada is substantiating. No, if you have the word Bhaktya and Guna Abhidanena. Guna Abhidanena means discussing transcendental qualities. No, there are no transcendental qualities in impersonal Brahman. So this Brahmani is not referring to impersonal Brahman, but is referring to Supreme Person of Godhead. Simple logic. Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead as admitted by Arjuna. Therefore, wherever the word Brahma is used, it must refer to Krishna, not to the impersonal Brahman effulgence. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan can all be taken in total as Brahman. But when there is a reference to the word Bhakti or remembrance of the transcendental qualities, this indicates the Supreme Person of Godhead, not the impersonal Brahman. Anyway, so the important thing here is for us to increase culture of devotional service by constant hearing. So those who don't have a schedule for reading Prabhupada's books, please understand that it is going to be very slow progress. If you just think that okay, I'm engaged in a lot of services, or I'm going to make progress, or even I'm chanting. Many devotees come to Prabhu, I'm chanting 16 rounds. Yeah, if you're chanting 16 offenseless rounds, then you don't need anything else. But 16 offenseless rounds cannot happen without constant hearing. Why? By constant hearing, by associating with devotees, we can actually develop attachment to Krishna. Only when we develop attraction to Krishna can we do chanting without offenses. And what is the chief offense? What is one offense which, or two offenses which we all struggle to overcome for a long time? Anybody? Two offenses. Of course, we should all know the Nama Aparadas, the offenses against the holy name.
Inattentive chanting.
And there are
Guru
two.
Ravagya.
Uh,
Guru Ravagya.
Guru Ravagya, no, I mean, yeah, possible, but very serious devotees, they don't do Guru Ravagya. They'll follow the instructions of Guru. This is for serious devotees. Even for serious devotees, we get stuck in two things. One is inattention, then what is the other one?
Vaishnava Aparad.
Oh, okay. I mean, see, all these, like I'm saying again, serious devotees means we are very careful about what we are doing, etc. But still, we get stuck with two offenses. Not Vaishnava Aparad, not Guru Ravagya.
Maintaining material attachments even after
Yes,
understanding so
yes.
many
Aham and
instructions
Mama.
from the Lord. Yeah.
So this Aham and Mama is where we get stuck. So we get stuck in Aham and Mama. And because we are stuck in Aham and Mama, inattentive chanting. Because when we are absorbed in Aham and Mama, then what will come in our chanting? Aham and Mama related topics. Where will Krishna come? So when we do constant hearing, what happens when we do constant hearing? How will this Aham and Mama go?
Cheto Darpana Machanti.
Very
It
good,
cleanses.
very good. Cleansing happens. Heart is cleansed. When we are constantly hearing Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam from Prabhupada, cleansing will happen. Heart will become cleansed. When heart becomes cleansed, then Aham and Mama reduces. And then our chanting also increases. Then Shravanam is also happening, chanting is also happening. Then we will make progress. Then slowly we will come to inattentive chanting. Actually, the process of chanting, um, first is our mind is engrossed in thoughts of Aham and Mama. Next stage, at least this is what I'm seeing in my life, and I asked Vidwan Gaurang Prabhu, and he said, okay, it's auspicious stage. What is auspicious stage is to not think about Aham and Mama, but to think about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, meaning preaching. Mm, Thoughts about preaching and related things come into our mind, which is auspicious. But then we have to go one more level to simply hear the Nama, by which Krishna's form, qualities, etc., will get revealed. Mm. So that is a path to perfection. But at least we should have Aham and Mama related thoughts should stop. When will Aham and Mama thoughts stop? When we don't have so much, when we develop an attachment to Krishna, then Krishna topics come and not topics about me and myself. Now, for all this to happen, the trigger is constant hearing. Hmm. So my Guru Maharaj has given one class, which is just which say, I think if I remember it right, you cannot chant without hearing. No chanting without hearing. Meaning we actually don't chant at all because we end up doing so many nama aparadas. So we have to, this constant hearing is very, very important. Please don't replace it with, I mean, when we say hearing, please understand it is reading Prabhupada's books. And then only a second aspect of this is hearing from other realized souls. And please don't hear anything for entertainment because it's not going to be of much use. If after every class, if our conscience is not pricked, if we don't question ourselves saying that, okay, what am I doing? Then we didn't really hear anything. Mm. Of course, we can hear pastimes and we can just, okay, mm, most devotees enjoy pastimes. We're not supposed to enjoy pastimes. We are supposed to hear with devotion and let the subject matter, which is basically bhakti. Even when we hear pastimes of Supreme Lord, the topic is bhakti, Bhagavan, and bhakta. So our focus should go towards bhakti and bhakta in connection with Bhagavan, and then we should develop desire to actually develop those qualities. And it's not just for some entertainment that we heard some pastime. Of course, it also depends on who is giving the who who is discussing. If he's a self-realized soul, he will definitely give realizations which are going to also be valuable to the hearer. That is the reason why we don't normally read from other Puranas where our acharyas have not commented. Because I mean, we should not think that we are so qualified that we can comment on Puranas and Shastras without our acharyas having done so. We should just, of course, great realized souls, great Vaishnavas, they can do it, but others, most of us, normal devotees, should just simply read from our uh, Parampara Acharya Srila Prabhupada, and possibly once we are fixed in what philosophy he has given, then we can read from previous acharyas, but not read something where there are no purports at all, or our own speculation about what is being said, etc. So for us it's very simple. Just constantly read Srila Prabhupada's book, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and then subsequently Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. If you just keep reading these four books again and again and again and again, all these things will develop. And we have to gradually transcend material qualities. We cannot, if we are hearing, we cannot remain in our conditioning. Again, very, very important topic. Many devotees think that Swabhava cannot be changed. And they keep, after many years of coming to Krishna consciousness, also keep alluding to their material gunas. Saying, okay, I can't get up early, I can't do this, I can't do that. I've been like this from childhood. But bhakti is above all this. I am like this from childhood business. Because that I am like this from childhood is guna, material mode. But bhakti is supposed to transcend. By doing bhakti, we are supposed to transcend material qualities. If you are following the process properly, we absolutely transcend. There is no doubt. It's not our ability. It's the power of bhakti, the process of bhakti which has been given to us. It's so powerful that we don't have to do anything else extraneous. We just have to simply follow the process and we'll transcend the material qualities. So the whole issue for us is material absorption. The more we are materially absorbed, the more we get disconnected from spiritual topics. And then we don't, I have seen fundamentally, devotees who can't make progress are not reading Prabhupada's book. Full stop. There's nothing else that needs to be spoken, right? They might be chanting. Somebody called me yesterday and said, Prabhu, I'm chanting 32 rounds. I said, why are you chanting 32 rounds? Are you like, you don't have anything else to do that you're chanting 32 rounds? No, at this stage in our bhakti life, we don't need to be chanting 32 rounds unless we have like a very rajasic, very, very rajasic lifestyle. Even for that, still reading Srimad Prabhupada's books is more critical, because how much ever we do 32 or 64 rounds, if it is full of Nama Aparadha, then what is the use of that chanting? It's going to be very little value. But instead, if we are actually hearing, reading Prabhupada, then the topics are going into our hearts, cleansing our hearts. Then even those 16 rounds will be super valuable for us. So please don't ignore this reading Prabhupada's books. ISKCON is where it is today because of lack of regular, constant reading. Because internet has replaced books, lectures have replaced books. No, why am I doing this morning class? I'm not even giving a class. I want everybody to understand how important these things are and put them into practice. If somebody feels I don't have time in the day, I have to read, I can't attend this class, absolutely fine, because that is the intent. That is the intent, right? Please focus on reading Prabhupada's books. If sometimes some devotees don't have association, the best association is Prabhupada's books. The best association, Prabhupada's books. So please don't underestimate the power of Prabhupada associating with Prabhupada through his books. It's super powerful. I can say in my life, mostly for many years, it was only Prabhupada's books which was my association. Meaning I didn't really get quality association the way I wanted. But it was only Prabhupada's books. Now, of course, Prabhupada has mercifully sent so many other devotees, sincere devotees who are wanting to become pure and, and doing service alongside with them is also inspiring me. But otherwise, all these years, the inspiration was just Prabhupada's books. That's all. Yada Ratir Brahmani. Yeah, Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu. One thing which I have observed in my life is that even when we read Prabhupada words and then relish them, while acting in the material world in dealings and all, we sometimes forget, okay, what is the uh, ideal action which a devotee could take, right? And then once we sleep in the night, then repentance come. Oh, Prabhupada told like we have to act like this, but I acted like that, and then we feel bad. So that happens, but I mean somehow the forgetfulness happens when the actual incident happens or actual dealing happens. That time it doesn't trigger. So what is the practical way to imbibe that so that we start acting also? Because this
Yeah.
remembrance is something which is not in our hands. Sometimes we remember, sometimes we don't.
Okay, the last thing I don't quite understand. Why is it not in our hands?
Like remembrance is like if you remember at that moment, then you will act accordingly. But sometimes we go under the material modes, right? Act, and then and I mean there is a forgetfulness state which I have
Yeah.
observed in my dealings that okay, I how did I forget that that person was basically acting in material mode and I should not have uh, responded or let's say
Yeah.
acted in that
Okay.
way, but probably kept aloof, right? And in some instances I'm able to do that because that time I remember maybe my state of consciousness is in mode of goodness at that time, so it helps. But
Yeah.
towards the end of the day or sometimes the forgetfulness happens.
Got it. So basically, see, the solution for this is the more we are reading Prabhupada's books, what we need to do when we're reading Prabhupada's books is to make a list of things that are for practical application. So maintaining notes is very, very important. And what does this, what do these notes, what is the significance? Is basically where we are stuck in bhakti, yeah, and the note should actually enable us, give us tips, instructions that Srila Prabhupada has written in his books, which are going to help us transcend our current fallen state, our conditioned state. Right, so the note should be actually the next set of things that we should be focusing on. And what should we be doing? Once in a while, once in a week at least, just glance over these notes. This is one thing which why should we do this? This increases our consciousness about our own conditioned state. It increases the consciousness, meaning we become more aware of our conditioned state, and we become more aware of the fact that this is not good. This is pretty pathetic. Now, what happens is when our mind is already in this mode where we are thinking, oh, no, no, this should not be done, this should not be done, this should not be done. Now it's top of our mind. It should become top of our mind. Right? Then what happens is when you have a situation in hand, of course, I mean, if we become so qualified, so advanced that we are able to remember the instruction and prevent ourselves, then we are in a very advanced state. Now, that's not going to happen very soon. But what can happen very soon is that like you said, you are able to mm, introspect, maybe end of the day or something that needs to keep advancing, meaning instead of happening only at the end of the day, maybe this incident, something incident happened in the morning, instead of waiting for 12 hours for that realization to dawn, then it will happen in 6 hours, then 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 minute, right? So now as soon as the incident happened, immediately this thing comes to our mind and say no, wrong, okay, then immediately pray to Krishna. Krishna, okay, please empower me, please give me the strength so that next time I can avoid it. Now again, next time will happen. Next time also it will be post facto only. Again we pray. And as we keep going on like this from just after the incident, then our realization will keep coming now within the incident. Meaning, as we are actually doing this, the thing that we should not be doing, in the middle we will get uh, our consciousness will prick Paramatma and say, no, you didn't want to do it. So then maybe in the middle we will start getting intervention, and then slowly as we make little more progress, just at the beginning of the incident we will get the push, and then we will say, okay, I know, I know this, I've been repeating this, playing this repeatedly, playing this tape, of doing this nonsense and then repenting, doing this nonsense and repenting. Okay, why don't I not do the nonsense itself? And I know that this is what is going to happen, and eventually I will feel bad that I behaved like this. I couldn't behave the way Prabhupada expected. I couldn't behave the way my Guru Maharaj expected. So, okay, can I try to now, we in our life, actually, this is one more observation, realization that we just replay our tapes, our CDs or whatever, right? Same things again and again and again.
Yeah.
It's like our playlist, right? Nothing changes. For many years nothing changes, it's just the same tape. And sometimes I used to think, right, isn't it so boring? I mean, I become so mechanical that I'm just replaying the same thing again and again and again. No, isn't that have I become like an animal or a machine? Why can't I change this pattern? Why can't I change this narration? Right? And then slowly, okay, by mercy of Guru Krishna and sincerely trying to do, maybe some patterns start changing, and eventually it will change, it has to change, right? Provided we are serious about it. See, the whole problem is that we don't take the way we deal with people situations actually so seriously, as much as possibly say we take our wealth or our possessions or our family or whatever else we are attracted to, right? We don't take these things, this self improvement or this change that we have to bring in ourselves, mm, as we are progressing towards Krishna, we don't take that so seriously. If you actually take it seriously and make it the single focus in our life, then lot can change. Krishna will actually dadami buddhyam tavogam tam. He gives mercy,
Yeah.
right? So we have to become like super. That should be the top priority in our life. If at any point of time, anybody asks, okay, what are the biggest anarthas you are fighting? Immediately it should come one, two, three, right? And then that means that we are super conscious about it. That we should not be repeating this mistake again and again. And then slowly those things will change. And see, another thing, actually, another tip, practical guidance is, maybe we have 10 things that we need to overcome. It's fine, but we pick the top three, right? Or top two, or even top one, for example, right? Which is disturbing us the most. And then we just focus on it. Maybe the others are happening parallelly and we are failing. It's okay, but we are just focused on one, right? And we are begging for mercy, praying, 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 and eventually one day we will get over it. Then we can pick up the next anartha, right? Of course, somebody who's engaged in 24 hours bhakti, they don't have to worry so much. It will all just get washed away in course of time, right? But for those who are not, who are still engaged, in the worldly dealings with people outside, not able to do 24 hours association with devotees, with spiritual activities, we have to be very conscious and choose our battles,
Yeah.
right? And other important thing is we should not aggravate the situation. We should not try to aggravate the situation. Unfortunately, this is what we do. Actually, instead of mitigating the situation, we aggravate the situation. So instead of putting water, we put ghee, right? That also we should avoid, because then again all our effort is wasted.
Yeah.
We put so much of effort to kind of make a little bit improvement, then suddenly one instance happened and then we just poured water. right? Meaning we just aggravated the situation. And then again, we went 10 steps back. Again, we have to start.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fundamentally, it's just very, very active introspection, being just conscious about every moment what we are doing, why we are doing, is this approved by Shastra, is it acceptable? You know, those things have to be in our head. Then it will see, bhakti is so powerful. We have to understand that. It's just that we are not doing it properly. That's our problem.
Yes, Rajan.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, anybody? Okay. This might take time. Okay, let's see. यदा रतिर्ब्रह्मणि नैष्टिकी पुमान् आचार्यवान् ज्ञानविरागरंहसा दहत्यवीर्यं हृदयं जीवकोशं पञ्चात्मकं योनिम् इवोत्थितोऽग्निः. Upon becoming fixed, last verse ended with he is going to be fixed, ratihi. Now, upon being fixed in his attachment to the Supreme Lord by the grace of the spiritual master, see, we can become fixed in attachment to Supreme Lord by the grace of the spiritual master and by awakening knowledge and attachment. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam. Vairagyam Jnanam. Awakening. Automatically it awakens by bhakti when we come to the stage of attachment. The living entity, situated within the heart of the body and covered by the five elements, burns up his material surroundings. So beautiful. He burns up his material surroundings exactly as fire arising from wood burns the wood itself. Mm. So the important thing is to become fixed in attachment to Krishna. And it will happen only by the grace of the spiritual master and by awakening knowledge and attachment. Yes, by attachment only, by the grace of spiritual master. If we are able to get follow the instructions and we become fixed, automatically all the material things get burned up. It is said that both the Jivatma and the Paramatma live together within the heart. In the Vedic version, it is stated Hriddhi Shi Ayam Atma, soul and super soul both live within the heart. The individual soul is liberated when it comes out of the material heart, comes out of the material heart, or cleanses the heart to make it spiritualized. Heart means not physical heart. This is the mind. So mind has to be spiritualized, meaning no material thoughts. No material thoughts. That is a liberated state. The example given here is very appropriate. Yonim ivothitognihi. Agni, fire comes out of wood, but and by it the wood is completely destroyed. So beautiful. Uh, Fire comes out from wood and destroys the wood. Similarly, when a living entity increases attachment to the Supreme Lord, he is to be considered like fire. A blazing fire is visible by its exhibition of heat and light. Similarly, when the living entity within the heart becomes enlightened with full spiritual knowledge and detached from the material world, he burns up his material covering of five elements and becomes free from the five kinds of material attachments. Please note, how do we know that we have burnt the five elements? When we become free from five kinds of material attachment. Ignorance, false ego, meaning thinking I'm the body, attachment to the material world, envy, and absorption in material consciousness. These are our five attachments, all interconnected, but slightly different. Ignorance, false egoism, attachment to the material world, envy, absorption in material consciousness. Therefore, panchatmakam, as mentioned in this verse, refers to either the five elements or the five coverings of material contamination. Five elements basically means five coverings of material contamination. And these are all burned into ashes by the blazing fire of knowledge and detachment. One is firmly fixed in devotional service of the Lord, unless one takes shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and advances one's attraction for Krishna by its spiritual master's instructions. Now, this is also very, I mean, devotees have to think about this. Why are we getting initiated anyway? And some devotees think, no, 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 Guru means too strict. We can't follow all these rules. But why are we following all these rules? Just so that we advance in our attraction for Krishna. How will we advance? By spiritual master's instructions. So these instructions, these rules, regulations, etc., are not meant for sense gratification. Yeah, okay, if you don't want all the rules, that means you don't want Krishna. No problem. There is no problem. Right? Bona fide spiritual master is going to give instructions because by following those instructions, the five coverings will be removed and then we can develop attraction. If we don't follow spiritual master's instructions, we are not going to develop attraction to Krishna. If we don't develop attraction to Krishna, then we can remain here rot in this material world. That's all. So whenever you come across some rule, some instruction, some rule which you're not able to follow, please remember this. The idea of this rule is not this is not some jail. Actually, it's a jail. I mean, the rule is to free us from the jail. Not if you don't follow the rule, then we will be stuck in the jail. If we follow the rule, we will get released from the jail. And more importantly, forget about this jail. I mean, the key is attraction for Krishna. What is the use of human life if we are not developed attraction for Krishna? It's a waste. It's wasted. What is the use if we just accomplish so many material things, but we didn't achieve attraction for Krishna in this life? We just wasted our life. Hari Hari Vipale Janma Gwainu. मनुष्य जन्म पाया राधा कृष्ण न भजिया जानिया सुनिया विषय खाइनु गोलोकेर प्रेम धन हरिनाम संकीर्तन रतिना जन्मीले तेने खाई केने ताई. Narottam Das Thakur is saying, Ratina Janmila, didn't develop attachment to this Harinam. Janiya Shunya Vishakhainu. Knowingly I've eaten poison, I've drunk poison. So if you don't develop this attraction for Krishna, then human life is wasted. Then again we have to come, don't know how many more lifetimes, where we are going to be, whether we are going to get devotee association, whether we are going to misuse our free will. Today if we are fortunate, if there are some devotees in our life who prevent us from misusing our free will, then we are very fortunate. Of course, Prabhupada is and Guru is, they are the ones who actually do it if very effectively. But like I said, if you're not reading Prabhupada's books, not hearing from spiritual master, then at least we should have some devotee who is going to protect us. One second, I'll just finish the purport. The living entity is centered within the heart, and to take him away from the heart is to liberate him. Centered within the heart. Centered within the heart, meaning just multiple ways we can understand. That we have to take him away from what the heart is absorbed in. This is the process. One must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, and by his instruction, increase one's knowledge in devotional service, become detached from the material. Does not live within the material body. Look at this. But within his spiritual body, just as a dry coconut lives detached from the coconut husk, even though within the husk. The pure devotee's body is therefore called Chinmaya Sharira, spiritualized body. So there is no material body. Pure devotee's body is not material. In other words, a devotee's body is not connected with material activities, and as such, a devotee is always liberated. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Not material meaning not connected with material activities. It's spiritualized. Srila Rupa Goswami confirms, Ihayasya Harer Dasya Karmana Manasagira Nikhilashvapi Avastasu Jivan Muktasa Uchate. Whatever his condition may be, one is who is engaged fully with his body, mind, and speech in the service of the Lord is liberated even within the body. So very, very important is to follow the instructions of spiritual master. And unless we develop this attraction for Krishna, then futile, wasted. Yeah, Shailaja Mataji, you had some question? Hare Krishna. Okay, if you're speaking, you'll have to unmute. Okay. Not sure. Anything else? Anybody? Okay. No questions. We'll close here. Okay. So just that from tomorrow we will not have classes till Tuesday because tomorrow I have some personal stuff. From day after is Vaikuntha Ekadashi. Then we are on going to our Guru Maharaj Vyas Puja and we're coming back Monday evening. So the next class will only happen on Tuesday. Very sorry about that, but unavoidable these things. So we will reconnect again on Tuesday. Till then, please read Prabhupada's books every day. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Krishna ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Pranam,
Hare
pranam
Krishna,
to everyone.